Hello, my name is Rocco Strangio, and I'm the host of the Law, AI, and Money podcast. I bring on attorneys, engineers, and entrepreneurs to unravel the world of AI and to discuss how it'll affect the legal profession. Today, I'm joined with Brooke Lively, the founder and CEO of Cathedral Capital. Cathedral Capital, also known as Cathcap, is a trusted CFO partner for law firms looking to improve their finances and operations. In our episode, Brooke and I discussed the role of attorneys and how it has evolved over time. We also explore the various AI platforms that every attorney should be using to improve their practice. We hope you enjoy our conversation. Hey, Brooke, how you doing?
I'm great, Rocco. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How's everything? The company? You guys are doing good?
Yeah, I just got back from a great weekend in Nashville with some clients learning how to better communicate with a jury.
Oh, yeah. Sounds interesting.
So it was awesome.
Yeah, the Supreme Court today, I think they just released the Code of Conduct, like the first time.
I saw that.
I know.
That's kind of surprising, isn't it?
I know. Not the best indication of where, they might be, what might have transpired.
But theoretically, our most ethical people have to have a written code of conduct.
Yeah, that's scary. But I'm so happy you found the time because I know you're busy to join the podcast. And so, yeah, hopefully we have a great conversation.
All right. Well, what do you want to talk about?
So, Brooke, I want to first, before we get into, artificial intelligence and the tech, I wanted to ask you a little bit about yourself and why you created Cathedral Capital, Cathcap.
Yeah. I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, Cathcap was kind of an accident.
Mm-hmm.
I was running my family's law firm and I hired someone to help with sales and marketing. And his clients came to me and said, "Can you do for us what you're doing for your family?" And I thought, well, I'm not doing anything that special. And that was when I realized that attorneys really ran practices, not businesses. And they didn't run and make decisions based on data. And I had this very financial background and I did everything based on data. And I was, basically the CFO. And so I said, well, sure, I can absolutely help you make a decision based on data versus a gut instinct. Because the difference is, Rocco, think about it. When you make a decision based on gut instinct, you make it at, let's say, 3 p.m. And then you go home and you're having dinner with your family and you're like, was that the right decision? And then you go to bed and you wake up at 2 a.m. and you make that whole decision over again. And then the next morning you're meeting with a client and you make the decision again. And then you make it at lunch, then you make it mid-afternoon, and then you make it at dinner. You just make it repeatedly. Whereas when you have data, you make the decision once. So that is how I started Cathcap.
Data is so valuable these days. And people are finding ways to monetize every little bit of it. And I agree with you. Instincts can only go so far. I think you need the analyses and the expertise to make those decisions.
And attorneys are smart, and there's no doubt that they could do all the financial stuff. They could learn all the financial stuff that my team and I know. It's just a waste of their time.
Yeah. So, that's why what you guys do is so important for law firms, right? And now with the inception of new technologies and AI, it's even more profound what you guys can do. Is that correct?
Yeah. AI is really changing the way, or has the potential to change the way firms are practicing. And that's kind of mind-blowing to me because we've got basically a way of practicing law that hasn't changed in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, right? I mean, there was some technology that's come along. The typewriter. I mean, the printing press, the typewriter.
The internet.
Uh, the internet was pretty big. The fact that you could do your legal research online instead of in a book with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of books.
Books that are so hard to locate and compile and digest.
And they've got to be updated every stinking year.
I don't know how they did it.
That was a pain in the rear. All those little things that went in the back. But this is going to fundamentally change the way we practice. It's going to fundamentally change the way we train the next generation of attorneys. Yeah. And that is something that we haven't experienced in the legal industry in a really long time.
Yeah. And that's why it's ever more important to have a CFO partner, right? With more productivity, more money coming in, you need to make these informed financial decisions. You need an expert. That's what you guys do at the end of the day.
Yeah. We're someone that knows what's going on, that knows the options, that knows the road ahead, and that has a slightly different view on what you're doing in your firm.
Mm-hmm. An objective view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An objective view, but also a view with financials. So whereas most attorneys are going to look at their firm based on, what's best for clients or what's best from a legal standpoint, we're going to look at what's best from a financial standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Brooke, that's all amazing. What you guys do at Cathcap is incredible. But the purpose of this episode and the reason I brought you on is to investigate some of the AI platforms that are out there that law firms can utilize to, like we said, improve their practice. And so what are those AI applications and what do they offer for law firms?
Well, let's start with what not to use. Yeah. Can we start there, Rocco?
Perfect. That's perfect.
Please. Yeah. I mean, let's just start with the big one. Please don't use ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't be that attorney in New York that submitted the brief.
That poor guy. I feel like he gets re-put on the spot.
I know. He's never going to hear the end of it. I'm not going to use his name. I'm not even going to use his firm. I will retell the story. Very broad brush strokes. Submitted a brief. Opposing counsel couldn't find the cases he cited. Judge was like, "Are you sure these cases are right?" Yeah. I checked them, Judge. Didn't check them. Judge checked them. Weren't in fact real cases. And he finally admitted, yeah, I used ChatGPT. ChatGPT does what is called hallucinating. So ChatGPT kind of makes up the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll go in there and just kind of, I don't know, cite a case from my cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is go to court and cite my cousin Vinny as your precedent.
Yes. That's one of the biggest concerns right now. Or what's so-called hallucinations. I think a new technology coming out, it's called retrieval augmented generation. What it does is it basically forces the AI application to ground whatever their answer is in something that they retrieve from a specific site and provide sites for that. Because that's what law is all about, precedent and citation. You have something that's just picking up things.
And when we look at the AI that's really good, that for instance, we recommend that we've looked into, I think CoCounsel is the best one that we've seen so far. We love it because one of the things it does is it kind of puts a fence around what it sits on top of ChatGPT, and it puts a fence around what the technology can use.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, these are the cases. So case text has all of the updated cases in there, whereas ChatGPT is 2 years behind in their technology and updating the internet. Case text, which makes CoCounsel, has everything updated through last week.
Wow.
And so it makes sure it uses ChatGPT's technology to search their database for the answer. And CoCounsel is great at things like contract review and legal research and electronic discovery, litigation and regulatory compliance. It's good for general insights.
Yeah.
One of the things about ChatGPT is that when you sign up, you say anything you put in there, ChatGPT can use to improve their algorithm and for all kinds of other stuff. So you have zero client confidentiality.
Yes.
In CoCounsel, you do have that client confidentiality.
Wow.
And CoCounsel is going to roll out the ability to draft all documents needed for litigation. It was supposed to happen in July, hasn't happened yet. They keep saying soon, soon, soon. I believe them that it is going to be soon. So we love that, but it has that, what do you call it? What is that thing called, Rocco?
Retrieval augmented generation.
One. Because it does, it limits it, right? So no hallucinations. It kind of puts all the information through that lens of, is this legitimate?
Yeah. I having talked with you before, we sort of went into other AI platforms that are on the rise and that might even beat out CoCounsel. Do you know of any that are on the horizon that you think are good and an attorney should be aware of?
Yeah, there's one that, frankly, I've been salivating about, called Harvey. And it was a big law firm that put it together for themselves. And it does virtually everything. It does the contract review, the discovery, the research.
A law firm created it. Are they going to offer it commercially?
Well, guess what? As of recently, you can, it's not available, but you can get on their wait list.
Really? For Harvey?
Harvey. It's called Harvey. And it'll do all kinds of great things. It will do, it'll do your due diligence. It'll make general predictions. Again, it does that client confidentiality. And so I think it might draft.
Yeah.
And let's face it, that's what we want. We want something that's going to draft, right?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, the attorneys have to go in and, they have to do the groundwork in trial. Those trial attorneys, that's their job. They're storytellers, but that's all in person. The thing that's being automated is that research, that associate work that you might, pay a clerk or an associate to do, that these new applications can do in a matter of minutes.
Right. If we can get AI to do what a law clerk or a first, second, third year associate does, what it may take them a few days to do, and we can get it done like that, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
It speeds everything up. It makes it so that you're more responsive to your client. You're moving work faster through your firm. And that, from just a customer satisfaction viewpoint, is great.
Yeah.
There are a few issues that it raises, right? Okay, so we used to have a clerk or a second year off billing for 3 days to get that done. And now we've got a computer that's doing it automatically in 37 seconds.
Yeah.
Is that lost revenue? Well, first of all, you still have to train your second year to do it. because they need to understand how to do it. Your second year is now the one that's pushing the buttons to make Harvey or co-counsel or whoever you're using do the work.
Yeah. I will say that
there are some places where you can go to your client and talk to them about how you are going to pass some of those savings through, especially firms where you have a relationship with that client that's ongoing and long-term. Say, we're bringing this in, it's going to enable us to do this, and we're going to pass some of those savings on to you. If you're flat fee, you're just going to become more profitable. You might be able to lower your flat fee some and increase your margin. And, if you're contingency, woohoo, more money for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, defense is the most affected because they rely on that billing and, charging for this drafting, charging for research or, teaching associates. Big concern that I always hear is job disruption. For that law clerk, that associate, that's a lost opportunity. But I think there's enough demand out there where we can still have as many attorneys, but just in different sectors, doing different kinds of work.
Yeah, I think that we're going to need to look at the way we're structuring firms. I think the first thing we're going to need to look at is the way we teach and train our associates. The way we've done it in the past is by making them do repetitive work over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. So they're not going to do it that way anymore. So we're going to need to find a new way to train them because they're going to need a slightly different skill set going forward. Frankly, I think they're going to need a skill set that's more interpersonal. Because they have to build that relationship with the client. They need to, I was talking to somebody not too long ago, and they talked about the evolution of an attorney's role. And an attorney used to be an advocate and a counselor for their client. They were a trusted resource, and people would go to their attorney for everything. And they had one attorney, right? And that one attorney helped them with everything. And over the past 50 years, law firms have become more and more and more niched and specialized. So now you have one attorney that you go to for this, and you have another attorney that you go to for that. And we've become much more tactical technicians and less of counselors. Well, with the rise of AI, that technical work can now be done by AI. So we need to bring that counselor role, that trusted advisor role back. And so how do we teach these young attorneys how to have that relationship with their clients? And, frankly, they need that, the interpersonal skills, what's the word I'm looking for, Rocco? You know what I'm talking about?
Passion. They have to have the understanding. They have to have the experience of going in during intake, talking with the client themselves. And like you said, that's exactly what I was going to say. And I rudely interrupted you about interpersonal skills. That's what we need ever more. But I will say this, the scary thing is that maybe one day AI can even do that aspect of it.
Okay, look, let's not get rid of humans just yet.
Yeah, there's going to have to be regulation. But I agree so much with what you're saying. There's these platforms out there, and there's a whole host of other ones apart from just co-counsel and Harvey. Yeah. I forgot some of the ones that you mentioned before, but
yeah, Spellbook is great if you're doing just contracts. Nalanda's great for e-discovery and due diligence. There's Luminance that's out there. That's great litigation and regulatory compliance. There are a couple some of them will get really specialized. There are a couple right now that are gaining momentum that are working with the USPTO. So if you're a patent attorney, those are coming out. Interestingly, I had a conversation with a patent attorney last week that was like, I don't know how comfortable I feel putting my clients, new art into basically the internet where I can't control it to write their patent. And I was like, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, trust, security. I mean, we give our data out all the time.
I've given up.
Unconsciously, like Apple and Amazon and Microsoft, they all have our data. It just becomes about whether we're conscious of it and whether we care enough. I think with this, we know how powerful AI is, and then we become more cognizant of, giving up our data and how sensitive that might be. So as long as there's those privacy and security applications in place to protect it, I don't see why that would be too much of a concern, being the devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. Yep, I get it. Devil's advocate on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
When we are talking about patents, that's an awful big risk to take.
Yeah. There's a lot of foul play that goes into patents.
That is an awful big malpractice risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And let's face it, most patent attorneys, well, all patent attorneys have a BS of some kind, right? Because you can't have a BA and pass the patent bar. So there's some kind of math science background that they have. Yeah. A lot of them are engineers.
Yep. I think you do.
They want to know exactly how it stinking works.
Yeah. Yes. I think they might. I think there was rumors, because I think you do need a STEM background to practice.
Yeah, you've got to have a BS.
But they might move away from that in the future.
Really? I hadn't heard that. That's fascinating.
There's been talk about it. We'll see if it actually comes to fruition. But yeah, that's what I heard, because I was initially interested in doing patent law, and I have a background in accounting. That's sort of why I'm with Milestone and the finance background. But yeah, I think that they might move away from it. But like you said, yeah, there's so much foul play that is involved, and it's so sensitive. Even if there is those protections in place, it might be an issue. Yeah,
might be.
But
who wants to take that much risk?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Because at the end of the day, there's people fighting against one another. It's not like it's just us versus, an application. It's us versus ourselves with some of these litigations. And so, But, Brooke, I'm very fortunate that you found the time to come on. I know you're very busy with Cathcap, busy in general with your life. And so, I'm
happy to talk about this stuff. I think that looking at what's happening in the legal industry, I think that, like I said earlier, this is not an industry that changes quickly, but I do think that we are seeing more and more iteration in the industry. There's a thing called the OODA loop, OODA, and it was, I think, World War II. Guy whose first name was John, last name I can't remember, looked at what made a really good fighter pilot, and it was their ability to assess the situation, make a decision, execute on that decision, reassess the situation, make a decision, execute on the decision. So it was that OODA loop, and the faster you could do that, the faster you could iterate, the better a fighter pilot you became. Same thing in business. I think that the legal industry is finally getting to the point where it's starting to iterate a little after, it used to only iterate every 500 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went to online legal research.
Not too long ago. you really
Not that
think?
long ago. And before that, we got word processors. So there are still attorneys that are out there on not even Microsoft Word, they're on DocX, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know there's always going to be those attorneys that, it happens to us in our space as well. Like for payments in mass torts, there's no other administrators that really do digital payments in the mass tort world. We're the first one that's introducing it because most just cut checks. We feel like it's such an outdated form of payment. Everybody's used to Venmo and Zelle and direct deposit. And so that's like what you're
put it in
saying.
my account.
Yeah. Yeah. Just put in my account and it happens like a month quicker.
What am I supposed to do with this piece of paper?
Yeah. And what happens if you don't have a bank? Like for the unbanked and underbanked, there's lots of issues with just blindly cutting a check that should be reserved for a different conversation. But I completely agree. And that's the importance of why, some of these law firms need a CFO partner like yourself.
Yeah. Look, we love doing what we do. We love, we say that we give strategic advice that drives profit. We want law firms to do better. We want them to succeed. A rising tide raises all boats.
Mm-hmm.
The better the firm does, the better the owner does, the better the other attorneys, the better the paralegals, the better the receptionist does, the better your clients do. Yeah. So the more efficient we can make it, the more profitable we can make it, the more everyone in that ecosystem benefits.
I agree, Brooke. Well, thank you for coming on, Brooke. It was a pleasure having you and talking with you as always. I wish you all the best and hopefully we get to talk soon.
Thanks, Rocco.
Take care.
Hey, thanks for tuning into the Law, AI, and Money podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation, be sure to like and subscribe so we can keep the conversation going. Thank you.